Hello, and welcome to the Weekly Scroll podcast. My name is Ryan.
And I'm your favorite space cadet.
And today we're going to be looking at Firedrop from Christian Sorrell, aka Meatcastle Gameware. This is a game of soldiers dropped from low orbit to fight the hordes of superfleas infesting the planet. Unabashedly, a Helldivers 2 inspired game.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You didn't really get in on the Helldivers craze, did you?
No, here's the thing, and this is what I was just fixing to say, is what I like about a lot of the video game inspired TTRPGs we review is you're going to get two perspectives a lot of the time. One, from someone who may have never even fucking heard of it, and two, from someone who probably put a ton of hours into it. Me being the one who is not much of a video gamer, and Hunter being the one who has played every fucking game under the sun, apparently.
Let's see how many hours I put into Helldivers, actually. You keep going, I'll tell you.
Or Helldivers light games, because didn't you say there's one that's like an Earth Conquest game?
Oh,
or
dude,
some
the
shit,
Earth Defense
or...
Force is a fantastic series that I highly recommend. Yeah.
Yeah. So he says. Again, I'm the kind of person who I don't play 20 hours. Hey,
not too many.
Not too bad, but still, it's 20 more than I have. Yeah. I'm just not. I don't play a lot of games. The issue is when I find a game that I do love, I'll put like 10,000 fucking hours into it, right? Like, I put thousands of hours into Skyrim, and then I got rid of all my systems, and then I found Destiny, so then I put thousands and thousands of thousands of hours into Destiny. Didn't really play a lot of games on the in between. But I am going to try to start playing more video games soon. I have plans to do nighttime streams, maybe here in the future. Anyway, I digress. We digress. That is what we do here on the show.
You digress.
Yeah. So this is the game we're going to do. This is what's interesting is I told Christian that we were going to be doing this one. And he said, hey, this is going to be the first Weekly Scroll review for Christian Sorrell, which is crazy because he's been on a bunch.
Crazy. Yeah. And I have a bunch of his stuff.
Played a bunch of games with him, and then realized, it's because he writes a lot of adventures, doesn't really write a lot of solo systems. So we're going to be going over this one. It's a little short. It's a little short, guy. It's a nice little zine. It's about a total, I think it runs about 26 pages plus the covers. Mm-hmm. So it's a tiny little zine. Firedrop. The full little intro I got here. Firedrop is a 28 page apparently, half letter, black and white zine, hex and dice wargame. In Firedrop, you and your friends play, as I said, as soldiers dropped from low orbit to fight the hordes of superfleas infesting the planet. Firedrop was originally created for and released for free as part of the February 2024 Missives from the Meatcastle. That is Meatcastle Gameware's free monthly newsletter that you can find on Substack. We'll make sure that the link is down below to this specific one, because you can still get it free. And if you sign up for Meatcastle's newsletter, there's a freebie in I think just about every single one, and then he collects them all into an annual at the end of the year, so you get all the freebies in one zine, which is super fucking cool. You can, if what I wrote is correct, again, the PDF is free if you go check out the website. I believe it might be on their itch as well. I'm not sure. But it is in print at Meatcastle's web shop, which will make sure the link is below too. And I also saw it at Spearwitch. I don't know if it's anywhere else, but I know it's at those two places. So you can still grab this. It's a great little zine. It's a fun little game. I would play the shit out of this. Borders more, like, definitely leans heavier more towards, I think, the role-playing side, or the board game side a little bit.
Absolutely agree. It's definitely more of like it's way less of a role-playing game and closer to like a board game pseudo strategy game, and there's not a lot of like strategic movement going on. But
Yeah, but as just like a quick little pickup board game, like you could bust this out with a handful of D6s and a couple friends and just be like, hey, we're gonna play this, and people that have never played a TTRPG would have a lot of fun with this, just as like a, you know, it's like a drop board game. So let's hop in and see why we're right, you know, about,
yeah, of course,
about that,
our correct opinions.
Yeah, as always. Yeah, so Firedrop, quick and dirty drop pod warfare for 1 to 4 players. Great piece of art here on the cover. I believe that is from PR, art from Perplexing Ruins, cool. And then the inside art, I believe, is Thomas Novosel via Patreon. So I'm going to read there's not a whole lot. Most of this book is just rules, so it's very little lore. And it's pretty short, minus all of the extra bits and stuff like that. It's about 20 pages. So I think we've been doing a damn good job of trimming our episodes down. Considering that we did 250 pages of Wolfwald in like 2 hours. I was very proud of us. But we are going to read the parts of this because there aren't a lot. So, war. What is it good? No, what purpose would we have in this life without it? It's been 5 years. Yeah, it's been 5 years since the Siphonopterian Scourge was first encountered on Apterian 6. In the years since, the superflea plague has spread across more and more of our great empire. We still do not know how they spread, but we do know wherever our ships went after fighting them last, they would appear as if following us, clearly aiming to discover our homeworld and consume it. Now more than ever, we need good and honorable soldiers, capital S, to take the fight directly to the Siphonopterians and show them there's nothing a little national pride and a heaping dose of lead and explosive can't solve. Oorah! Yeah, credits. Design and layout from Christian Sorrell, editing from Jarrett Crater, art is from PR and Thomas Novosel, and publishing is from Meatcastle Gameware. What I love about this, and I hope that our little voices were in the back of Christian's head when he did this. First of all, let's take a peek for those bookmarks. And they're there. It's like 27 pages and they're all bookmarked, which is great. Not only that, if we scroll down a little farther, the table of contents,
hyperlinked.
Not only hyperlinked, it's like literally every page. In a little 20, this is the size of zine that we would be like, not a big deal, it's 27 pages. It doesn't matter, full fucking table of contents, fully hyperlinked. But if you actually scroll back, what do we say all the time? If you're gonna have a website or something in your zine, hyperlink it, right?
Right.
Well, listen, so he hyperlinked all of the credits. So Christian Sorrell will take you to Meatcastle Gameware. Jarrett Crater takes you to Space Penguin Inc. PR takes you to PR's Patreon. Thomas Novosel takes you to the Thomas Novosel Patreon. And then Meatcastle Gamer takes you to meatcastle.com. So all of the credits in the page are also hyperlinked out to their individual websites. Claps.
Amazing. Very cool.
Claps. Someone, real Meatcastle, don't know who that is, just dropped in the chat and said, I had to do it to him. Yes. We appreciate all the hyperlinks. So I'm not going to go through all of the table of contents because it's literally every page. So we'll just go as we go. So as we go. So 27 pages in here. Setup. So in Firedrop, you play as a soldier dropped from low orbit to fight the hordes of superfleas infesting the planet. Each mission is unique with its own objectives. Siphonopterian nests and extract point. Your job is to complete the objective and, if you can, extract with your life intact. To aid you in battle, you have a number of clone reinforcements available upon your death, as well as high-impact firepower like sentries, orbital bombardment, and more. So once again, it says it is a quick and dirty hex game of drop pod warfare. What do you need? You need a hex map on page 26. Boom, inline hyperlink. Take you right there. Soldier cards on page 27, linked to it. One 20-sided die, D20, not linked. Mini 6-sided dice, D6s, ideally in 3 colors, and writing utensils.
Did you say not linked on the D20?
It's in parentheses. And then we got the dice usage, which when we get to the enemy dice, it's so clever. I really like the mechanic that they use there. But this basically breaks down how the dice, not like 6, and after a D means a D6. No, it's just like what it actually does. So throughout play, you'll use one color of D6 to act as your soldier, displaying 1 through 4 to allow unique identification per players. Another color of D6 to act as the enemies, displaying 1 through 6 to match their strength. And a third color of D6 to act as miscellaneous ability or objective markers as needed. Everything else like objectives, nests, and more would be written directly onto the hex map. I like that. So a D6, because you're soldier 1, I'm soldier 2, there's soldier 3, soldier 4. You could also have, I guess, 4 additional different colors, and then put like your ammo or your wounds or something as like a roll dice for your individual soldier.
That'd be cool.
That'd be like a home thing. But I mean, at the end of the day, too, this could all be a tokenized thing pretty easily.
I agree.
And I think that would be really dope to make it a like expand this out a little bit and make some like punch like pog tokeny things. That would be really sick. So the steps of play are there's 6 of them. You create a mission, and then underneath that are 4 steps, which is choosing a difficulty, placing objectives, place nests, place an extract point. That's how you create a mission. And then number 2, you create a soldier. Number 3 is the orbital drop. Number 4 is drop, fight like hell. Number 5 is extract. Number 6 is claim spoils of war. I'm trying to make sure I remember at what point I'd have some notes here. So first thing you do is you create a mission. So you build this collaboratively with the other players, and the players take turns rolling and placing objectives, or have a single player or highest ranking player for veterans act as squad leader and roll them all up together. I like that. I like the idea of like collaboratively coming up with the thing together. That's always a fun bit to do whenever you do something like the game I always think of is, I don't know if you ever played it, and I'm surprised if you haven't, is Archipelago.
Yeah, still no. We've had this conversation several times. I have it bookmarked to buy. I don't think I've ever purchased it because it's on Drive-Thru RPG. So
yeah. I think it's Jason Morningstar. It's dope. I've played it before. It's so much fun.
I'm a big Wizard of Earthsea guy. So
yeah, it's funny because you've read all of Ursula K. Le Guin, but you've never played Archipelago, and I've never read any Ursula K. Le Guin, and I have played Archipelago multiple times. So we should mash those together. So, so you create a mission. I already talked about the 4 steps. So first is choosing a difficulty. So as a group, you choose a mission difficulty, and that determines a lot of things. It determines your number of objectives, the number of nests of enemies, the nests of the Siphonopterians, and the number of reinforcements and resupplies you get. It says new recruits and small squads recommend start low. So you got easy, medium, hard, and heroic. So for example, we'll do the easy. You get, there's 1 objective, there's 3 nests, and you get 5 each of reinforce and resupply. But if you go all the way to heroic, it's 4 objectives, 12 nests, 2 reinforce, and 2 resupply. That's rough.
Yeah, that is rough. It's like, man, one of you dies, 2 of you die. That's all the deaths you got, you know?
Yeah. Crazy. I think every player gets their own number of reinforce. Yeah, right.
Oh yeah, I think you might be right, actually.
Yeah. The next thing you do is you place objectives. So the way that works is objectives must be completed to achieve the mission success. If you extract prior to completing an objective, you will take a demerit when claiming spoils of war. Certain objectives require you to locate and kill a group of enemies. Others require a certain number of actions to be spent, etc., etc. We'll get to those. But the first thing you do is you roll a d6 to determine the objective from the list on the next spread. Reroll repeats, and next you roll 1d20 and place the objective on the corresponding hex. Why don't you pull up a dice roller, buddy? Because you're going to be rolling all this shit. We're going to make...
I do love for all these as we go through them, you roll a d20 on where to place them, but if you roll a 20, you get to pick.
Because there's only 19 hexes.
Yeah.
I
rolled a... do you want me to roll the objective? I don't know why I rolled the map.
Yeah, roll the objective. Let's... I'm gonna shoot down to the hex map real quick, just so people know what the heck I'm talking about. Then we'll go back up, and then we'll talk about this again. But here's the hex map. Let me go to zoom to page level here. So this is the hex map. It's basically as it's a hex of hexes.
It's a hex flower.
Yeah, it's a hex flower. So it fits 19. And then below it is the movement list. So all of the 6 directions have their own number. So when you roll that, it'll tell you how to go on the hex flower. So there's 19 of them, obviously, and it starts on like that kind of like, I guess you would say like top left, I guess, and rolls around to the inside. And then since there is no 20, that's when you get to pick your own. And I think that's cool.
I do think that's
fit with
very clever use of a D20 and a hex map, you know?
Yeah. It's dope.
So
like it.
For the objectives, I'll just read the titles real quick and then we'll go over the one that I rolled. How about that? So the objectives are kill everything, recover data, launch missile, rescue citizen, boo, destroy asset, or 6 is soldier's choice. And I actually rolled a 6. So why don't we go over, let's do launch missile. You know,
okay, dope. All right.
Number 3, launch missile. Complete a successful launch from a planetary ICBM launch facility. Spend actions activating on-site terminals and wait for launch. The requirements are 3 actions. It takes 5 rounds to complete.
Damn.
Yeah, quite a long one. I think that might be the longest one for rounds until completion. When there are rounds until completion. Yeah, it is. Yeah. I didn't pick Rescue Citizen because I played Helldivers 2, and rescuing citizens is very annoying in that game.
The citizens are annoying?
They just, you just have to set yourself up, and you have to keep letting them out, running from one place to the other. You have to kind of guard them as they're running into like the safe room. And also just pick up a gun, bro. We're in war right now.
Pick up a gun, bro. Everyone's a soldier. Yeah. I think that one's a fun one. The kill everything one obviously just means kill everything, which is neat. But I like that the number of rounds that a thing takes and the number of actions you have to do to perform it is really interesting. It's a cool way to, I don't know, you can't just blast a nest and run away and then just kind of chill and do the thing. Since everything, we get to the bad guys and how they're gonna come in every 3 rounds and stuff, and they can move every turn. It's interesting how they something like this, it takes so long, you have multiple nests spawning coming at you every time, so you can never really sit still, and that's really cool. I like that a lot. I like the art drops in all the way through, the little spot art pieces. The one above is a giant ship. On this one you have a very interesting gun, a very space gun looking thing that I would imagine.
Space gun.
Yeah, it's dope. It's a good choice for the arts. So the next thing is placing the nest. So Siphonopterians reproduce through a network of breeding chambers. They're fungal tunnels of dirt and stone we call nests. In a little time, a nest can produce a daily amount of fleas. So nests spawn a new enemy every 3rd round, starting on round 3. So round 1, round 2, and then boom, start at round 3. It says at the beginning of the round. A nest spawns with another enemy group in its hex, and it adds its value to their strength up to a max of 6 strength, after which the remaining strength is added as a new unit. Mission difficulty denotes nest spawn strength. So that's the thing that I really like, and we'll get to it a little bit more later. There's also a part where if something's on the hex and it's 2 strength and it spawns another thing that's 2 strength and it's on the same hex, you just combine it to a 4 strength thing. And I think that's so clever because it cleans up the board. You don't have a million dice.
Yeah, you're all occupying a single hex at a time a lot of the time. I guess you can split off and stuff, but that seems against the spirit of working as a squad. Even though I've done that in the actual game Helldivers. It really just helped keep the board clean. I love the rules in here. It's a very simple game, but a lot of it's very intuitive and makes a lot of sense as you read through, and you're oh, it's very clever,
Yeah. I mean, because if you have since they're basically all dice or whatever, if you have 6 1-strength enemies running around the board, that's fucking annoying.
Yeah.
But 1 6-strength enemy as a giant unit moving together, I don't know. It's like I said, it's clever. Like you said, it's intuitive. It's self what's the word I just said previously? Like it self cleans up the board. Like it really does a good job of, I don't know, self maintenance for the clutter, which is great. So the enemy spawns are the 4 difficulties, right? Easy, medium, hard, heroic. Easy is 1, and then 2, and then 3, and then 4 for the different types. So that's a lot. So on the hard one, and the heroic, there's 12 nests spawning a 4 strength bad guy every 3 rounds.
The difficulty is exponential in this. It's not just that there are more nests. The nests that you come across, like you just said, are like way more difficult. And I think that's brutal and fun. Like you're guaranteed to just be like having guys killed off left and right, you know?
Yeah. It's crazy. Even from easy to medium, you're going from spawning. You're going from spawning. It's 3 nests doing 1 strength bad guys to 6 nests spawning 2 strength bad guys. You're right. Like it's exponential.
Yeah.
Like it's not just like a little bit harder. It's way harder. So it's interesting.
It's funny because going through this, like I feel like they're like in this. It's very true to like I know Christian was playing Helldivers, although we never played together. But I know that they were playing Helldivers at the time. And this is very, very true to like the feel of it. Like there are just those missions where you just get torn up and you're out of respawns, you're out of resupplies, and one dude makes it out at the end. And you're like, shit, well, that's technically a success.
There you go. Are there clones in Helldivers? Or
It's when you die, you call in like a reinforcement. It's a clone of yourself.
Oh, that's dope. Cool. All right. So what you do with those nests, you roll a 1d20 and you put the nest on the hex. And if you re-roll repeats, but if it rolls a 20, you decide together. Far away from everything is what I would do. So infestation level, we talked about this already. Easy is 3, medium is 6, hard is 9, and 12 is heroic is 12 as far as the number of nests you have to do. So then you get the extract point. This is a pedantic point that I know it's based on Helldivers, but I did want to bring up military-wise, extraction versus exfiltration. Extraction is generally like under forceful means, right? Like with power, you pull something out, versus exfiltration, which is like stealthily leave. So you said it's called an extraction point in Helldivers. Of course, you're going to do Helldivers here. But if they're trying to sneak out, exfil might have been a good exfil point. Might have been a good one too. Anyway, so you place your extraction points. That's another part of the mission. So in order to keep the superflea menace from following us from world to world, it is imperative our ships are on the ground for as little time as possible. This is why soldiers Firedrop, and why their only means of planetary escape is a single shuttle once per mission. That's it. So you roll the 1d20, you put the extract point in the corresponding hex, and on a 20, your squad decides, just like everything. The extract point calls down an evac shuttle, and it's activated like an objective. The shuttle arrives in 3 rounds. So we'll get to objectives. So it is an objective like everything else. 3 rounds later, it'll be there. And after placing it, you make up a mission name on page 25, which is hyperlinked. Boom. Let me click the thing so you can see the hand.
Amazing.
It becomes a hand. Yep. After placement, populate each nest, objective, and extract point on the map with enemy groups equal to the mission's enemy spawns. We talked about that already. See place nest on page 10, hyperlinked. To mark an enemy group's position on the map, place a d6 with a number the number equal to the unit's strength face up. Be sure to use dice of 1 color specifically for all the bad guys. That's great. Next, you move on to creating soldiers. So that is... Yes.
Oh, no, go finish your thing. I'll do creating soldiers.
That is how to create the mission. That's literally it. Is a D6 and D20 roll, kind of like 3 or 4 of those, and boom, you got a mission.
It is amazingly simple to set this up. It's funny because recently, like I run the game every Sunday. I've mentioned several times on the show, but recently we've had people like not make it on certain weeks, and we're always kind of looking for something else to do, so that we can have everyone for important story moments, and because we don't really care what we're playing. And I'm like, this is, I think, the next one I'm going to drop in and be like, cool, this is what we're going to do today. Like, you don't need to, you can just show up. You don't have to read it. It'll be fine, Yeah.
Yeah. This is such an easy drop and go game. Like anyone that's ever played any game ever, you can just be like, here's a handful of D6s for you, here's a D20 in the middle of the board. We're doing this. It takes 5 minutes to set up.
Yeah. So creating a soldier. Also, I love the term fire drop. Obviously a riff on like instead of hell diving, fire dropping. It might be a little better. It's pretty good.
I like it. Yeah.
Because you are dropping and there's fire because you're entering the atmosphere. Yeah.
Right.
So create a soldier. To be fire drop soldier is to be among the bravest and most elite of all warriors in the galaxy. Few are those who would dive into Siphonipterian, is that what you decided to say? Hell, and be expected to survive, let alone actually accomplish objectives. The galaxy stands safer with you in it. Now, get out there and kick some superflea thorax.
Oh.
So I will continue to talk about Helldivers because I'm very familiar with it. But inside Helldivers, this is a lot of the same brouhaha, you're the best language that's used, but it's canonically in the game. You're just a bunch of idiots. That's why you kill each other so easily, and you're kind of bad. Like they just sell you on this propaganda, like you're the best of the best. So I wonder if, like in Christian's internal lore, this is the same thing.
Yeah. Well, because your stats aren't great.
Yeah, because your stats are. Yeah, that's so true. You will die. Yeah. So soldiers have 3 stats. That is armor. The measure of your ability shake off damage before receiving a mortal wound. Speed, ability to dodge and move quickly, and firepower, your ability to inflict harm on enemies. We get to augmenting stats or augment stats. All stats start with the value of 3, and then you are given a +2, +1, and -1 to assign as you wish to those stats. After augmenting, these are your stats for the entirety of the mission, although you can tweak your stats and abilities in between missions as desired. Very cool.
That's it. So you basically, you'll have one stat that's a 5, one stat that's a 4, and one stat that's a 2.
Yeah.
That's cool. I like that one is like, no, you fucking suck at that one.
Yeah, you're really bad at this one. So
yeah.
Yeah. So squad abilities. All soldiers have access to squad abilities. Each soldier's squad abilities have their own individual refresh timers after use. Squad ability usage is also tracked individually and is limited by difficulty, meaning on an easy mission, each soldier has 5 uses before reinforce reinforce and resupply. Those abilities being reinforce. You drop a new clone squad member. It arrives in 1 round, refreshes instantly. Pretty nice. Limited by difficulty, like we just said. Incoming soldiers may roll a speed test to augment their drop position. If all soldiers die at the same time, a whole squad-wide reinforce will be called automatically, and all soldiers mark this as 1 reinforce used.
I do like that on the incoming soldiers part. For the drop, it does take you to page 15 where it talks about dropping in new soldiers. If you're going to talk about a rule that you haven't seen yet, link to that page.
Yeah.
Love that.
Amazing. And yeah, resupply. Drops in a cache of supplies, arrives in 1 round, refreshes in 5 rounds, so you cannot back-to-back this one. Limited by difficulty, of course, again. Any soldier in the same hex at any time during the round of the resupply's arrival fully refills their ammo, and after 1 round, the resupply is lost amid the chaos of battle. Perfect.
Okay, this is where I think my only clarity questions come in a lot is in both. This is the first time it's going to come up, and then so we don't need to answer it now. We'll keep going.
Okay.
And then I think that it's going to keep cropping up. But where does this apply? Where does the resupply drop? It doesn't say here, it drops randomly. You roll a d20 for a hex drop. Does it drop right on top of you?
Oh, I guess it doesn't specifically say. I always interpreted this as if I call a resupply, it drops on me.
So that's your interpretation.
Yeah, that is my interpretation of it, though.
Yeah, so it's not in the rules anywhere that it drops on. There is a line later in the book where it talks about how things drop. I think the line literally just says it drops according to what it says, but it doesn't say anywhere. So we'll see that as it keeps going. Maybe I missed it. Maybe Kristen will point out to it. But I kept trying to be I want to be sure where some stuff drops a random hex and then others it doesn't specify.
What drops
that's
a
the
random
first time
hex?
it pops up. I think one of the we'll get to the squad abilities.
Okay.
Good call. Wait. So Christian in chat. This is one of the reasons we still stream live, so we can have creators in chat. And Christian is a homie, a regular here on the Weekly Scroll. They say that the intention would be it drops on the location you are in when you call it, which is going to answer my question every time going forward, and I'll just bring it up each time. But that does answer a question. So cool. We're on to soldier abilities.
On to soldier abilities. Yeah, so you start the mission with one ability. This is like one of those things that you can swap out in between missions, but when you start, this is the ability that you have. There are how many? I don't even remember actually. 6. Of course, there are 6 because this is always it's a 6 game. I'm being a dumb guy. So we'll read them off, and then Ryan, you want to roll or pick one to talk about?
Sure. Yeah.
So we have sentry gun, orbital bombardment, airstrike, enhanced weaponry, quartermaster, and the last one being medic.
I rolled a 1, so it's sentry gun.
Perfect. So sentry gun, an automated machine gun turret acting as another, soldier in combat. Fun fact, I always pick the sentry gun because it's just the type of guy I am. I'm a proxy fighter. I'm a necromancer as a wizard too. You know, anything that can do all the work for me and I can stand behind it, love it. Yeah. So your sentry gun does have stats. They're okay. They're the speed 0 because it's a stationary gun. It remains in its original hex until destroyed. It arrives in 1 round, refreshes in 5 rounds. So it does have character stats. It does you like attack as a character would.
Yeah. So again, where does it drop?
Right.
The confusion on this one would be for me that it acts as a soldier. So does it drop like a soldier drops, or does it dropping where I call it in at? That's one of the other parts where I was like, well, that's a little bit confusing. I know he's able to go over 1, but I think going over either orbital bombardment or airstrike would also be dope. I think both of those are really, really interesting.
I love orbital bombardment. Another one that I will often pick because once again, it requires me to stand far away from the things and blow them up from a distance. Orbital bombardment, a heavy bomb dropped from low planetary orbit, deals 5 damage to everything in targeted hex, can target own hex or any adjacent hex. Cool, it says it there explicitly. Arrives in 1 round, refreshes in 5 rounds.
So my question, because I know in Helldivers people died all the time, right? If you target your own hex, do you just fucking die?
Yeah.
I don't like...
I would accept that as the thing.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I would definitely do. Like, if I targeted my own hex, like, there's clones of me, and if there's like 6 units on me, and I could do 5 damage each of them, and I just happen to be in the way, well, fuck it, I'll just call in my next person, you know? I would definitely have, like, friendly fire on this. Like, if my buddy is in the hex that I airstrike, fuck yeah, I would do that in a heartbeat.
My favorite thing in the original in Helldivers 2, the game, is that I had like a little floating sentry that shot a laser that was a straight line, like heat laser beam. And if your friends move in front of it, or if it just turns and it hits your friends, it does damage them. And like you will often accidentally kill somebody in the middle of combat because they stepped in the way of the beam. It's fucking hilarious.
I like that they build it in with like the clones and stuff like that to be like, because every game, like very few games have friendly fire. Like for example, like Space Marine 2, you literally shoot. It doesn't even just stop. You shoot through your bad guys. We tested it. Like you would stand, I'd be like, stand in front of me real quick, and I'd shoot them, and it would just be like dinging like pings off the wall behind them. I'm like, oh, so they're literally shoot through. But I do like the idea of friendly fire. That's neat. And then there's other ones that are interesting.
Orbital drop at the start of your mission. Although also when you reinforce, you also do drop in. You have the ability, or you will roll a 1d20 to determine your starting drop position. Each soldier can then roll a speed roll. For each success, the soldier may alter their drop position by 1 hex per success before landing.
I like that. You can just kind of like aim a little bit, which is neat.
Yeah,
that's clear. I like that a lot. So next up is fight like hell. So this is combat. So battle. Dealing and being dealt death, the meat and potatoes of astral army life. If war is hell, then you best be a demon, or better yet, the devil himself. This is where all missions, all fronts, and all wars are won and lost. Get killing, soldier. Oorah! So, this is basically the roles and like combat and stuff, like how do things work. So rounds, every third round. So basically, I love a game that's in 3s and 6s. You know, anyone that's ever looked at any of my games, which is like 2 people, knows this about me. So I like that this game is D6s and uses a lot of 3s and stuff in it. So every third round, the nests spawn new enemies. We read that already. Or I don't know if we did. I know I've read it multiple times. According to the mission's enemy spawn at the beginning of the round. Yeah. Next, any arriving abilities land, and if relevant, deal damage. So in that order, bad guy spawn, abilities land. Soldiers always act first in rank order. In case of equal ranks, players choose the turn order. So I do have a note in my notes that says, what the fuck is rank? Because it's not until, I think we're on page 16, and rank doesn't come up until page 25. And through the entire game so far, they've done a really good job of like pointing out. I know we made a reference. Yeah, we made a reference here. I don't remember, whatever, to page 15 of like how something worked. It wouldn't be a bad idea here on rank to just have like page 25 written on there, and because there's space for it. So that because I literally was like lost for like 10 pages. I'm like, what the fuck is rank? So rank is a thing we'll get to later. So after all soldiers have taken a turn, enemies act in order of their hex map location. Enemy movement attacks may be resolved by any soldier. So that's the order. So things spawn, bad guys spawn, abilities land, soldiers go, acting first in rank order. And then enemies take their turns, and then that's it. And then you kind of start from the top. And then, so stat test. We finally get to how the game works. On page 16. So to your stat, it's a dice pool game. I love a good dice pool game. So
I love it. This is exactly my dice pool game too.
Yeah. It's really great. So to roll an armor, speed, or firepower test, you roll a number of d6s equal to the relevant stat, and every 5 or 6 is a success. That's it. Easy peasy. So
perfect.
Your max stat would have been, what do we say, a possibility of a 5?
5.
Yeah, and your lowest stat is a 2. And we have talked many times about the dice percentages of rolling a d6. 5 and 6 does make it a little bit nicer.
Yeah.
But yeah. So
yeah, if you have 5 dice in your pool and you want to hit a 5 or a 6, if you just need 1 success, there's an 86% chance of you getting that success. Although we know that like multiple successes do matter in this system.
But if you're only trying to hit a 6, we've talked about that a little bit too when we looked over some your zero engine stuff. I have rolled 12 or 13 d6s with no successes. So it is possible to fail a bunch. So ammo, how does ammo work? So soldiers begin the mission and reinforce with 6 ammo. This is what I was talking before. Like if you just had a different colored dice or a mini, you could just use the 6 on the dice and tack down your ammo. Any soldier in the same hex as a resupply on the same turn it arrived is fully resupplied. And we've already talked about that. Resupplies drop where you call it. And then on your soldier turns, we'll do soldier turns and enemy turns. So on your turn, you may move and take 2 actions. You may move before. So basically you can move before, after. You can split it up. You can do whatever. I like that. It's not I hate when people are like, you have to do all your moves first. Why? So to move, you roll a speed test and move a number of hexes up to the number of successes rolled, minimum 1. This is the question I had. Does that mean if you don't roll any successes at all, you still get to move 1? So this is minimum 1. That's how I read it.
That is interestingly worded. I guess that's how I would say it as well. Like you roll a speed test and move a number of hexes up to the number of successes. You roll at least, you always get at least 1 move. Yeah.
Great. Okay. Yeah. Christian in chat said that's correct, and that's how I read it. So that's good. That's great.
I think that's a cool rule too, because it keeps you being able to move no matter what. But if you really blow away a speed test, you can just like genuinely really move. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, I like that a lot. Yeah, like you said, like you basically always have at least one space to move no matter what. But your roll does matter, and that's cool. I really like it. So
that is really cool. That's a really cool movement rule for a dice pool game. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. That, like, again, you can move a tiny bit, but your dice rolls do matter. That's neat.
Yeah.
It is good. So actions and combat you get, or actions are combat, use ability, advance objective, and then clear a nest. So combat, you fire on an enemy in your hex. So you can only fire on in your hex. You have to be in a hex. I think the only times you can go outside of your hex are like orbital bombardments or airstrikes, at least what I've read so far. You expend 1 ammo, and you roll a firepower test, and each success lowers enemy strength by 1. So 1 ammo gives you a roll. It's not the amount of damage you do, it's the amount of successes that 1 roll gives you. I like that a lot. And if you do have like the sentry gun or whatever, you get 2 attacks.
Beautiful.
Which, yeah. Each success lower, When an enemy strength reaches 0, they're gone. Great. You can use an ability. You call in an orbital drop ability, selecting a target hex in accordance with specific ability, and you mark usage for squad abilities and begin tracking your refresh on your soldier card. We'll get to the soldier card at the end. Again, it drops, as we clarified, where you'd call it in at. You can advance an objective, so you can mark 1 action on a relevant objective, and then you can clear a nest. You can expend 3 ammo and destroy an enemy nest in your hex automatically, which is great because that means that every 3rd round they're not coming out to get you. But it is a little half your starting ammo.
Yeah.
So you better call down a resupply kind of probably right after you finish that. I like that. It's clean and easy set of movements. I mean, one thing I really enjoy about this is, I mean, this is our kind of game, right? The dice pool, super clean, like straightforward. You know, and this is very much a crafted experience, right? Like this is giving you the Helldivers experience. It's not a framework for you to build your own whole thing on. I mean, you can, but it's not just supposed to be like an OSR framework or something.
Yeah, it's I do appreciate it being like its own like contained experience instead of trying to catch more than it needs to. I also think that for abilities, a simple fix to this would be to put in there like opening like paragraph to soldier abilities, like all abilities target on you unless otherwise specified. Then you have to go through for each one.
Yeah, literally, it's like one super easy sentence. It's like a really easy little clarification. Enemy turns. Siphonopterians act in a much more straightforward pattern than soldiers, only knowing how to move and kill. A deadly combination. So, when they move, enemies move 1 hex per round. And if they begin their turn adjacent to a soldier or a sentry gun, they always move into the soldier or sentry gun's hex. In the case of multiple adjacent soldiers, they always move towards the largest group of soldiers. In the case of a tie, roll on the movement guide to help determine the occupied hex they enter. I believe the movement guide would be the little single hex with the 1 through 6s on it. If they do not begin their turn adjacent to a soldier, they move randomly based on the hex guide. And for each enemy group, roll 1d6 and move the enemy in the direction denoted. Reroll if movement is not possible. When an enemy moves into the same hex as another enemy, they combine, once again, tidying up the board. It's so not, that might be honestly, I don't know why sometimes the smallest rules are my favorite rules in a game. Like I really loved that death fatigue thing in Wolfwald. I just thought it was so clever. I just think this is such a clever thing. Like if you move hexes, if you move them together, just combine the dice and tidy up the board. It's multiple things in one. It's such a, I don't know. It's such a,
the cleverness of a system really comes out in the more subtle rules, you know?
Yeah, I agree. Maximum strike, the 6 stuff. So if you have like a 4 and a 4, you would combine that, roll 1 to a 6, and then roll 1 down to a 2. Yeah, so you wouldn't lose any more dice, but as soon as you drop the 2 off the 1, then you would, which is great. Combat for the bad guy. So enemies attack all soldiers with. So this is the question I have. Enemies attack all soldiers within their hex, using their strength value for the combat test. Totally get it, right? Enemy rolls a strength test. Each success deals 1 point of damage. Okay, let's stop there before we get the enemy thing.
Okay.
The question I have is that one, say there's 4 soldiers in a hex. Is that 1 strength test and then if say there's one success, is that 1 point for each, or they rolling a different strength test for each individual soldier? Because it says they attack all soldiers within the hex. So is it one test aimed at all of them, or is it one test for each of them?
I mean, this is another thing where it's just like, I think I know what I think or this means. You know, like I would say like, yeah, it's one test. Each person in the hex takes 1 damage, but it doesn't explicitly say that. So
right, that's what I figured. Is it's easier to just do. Not like just it's 1, so 1, 1, 1, 1, and then you do whatever you do. That's what I.
And also, there's supposed to be like hordes. It's supposed to be like they're scurrying across the land. I think it really fits into
Right. Yeah, because if you have 1 D6 bad guy, that's not that's a unit of bad guys.
Yeah,
it's not necessarily 1 D6 bad guy. So what happens when that happens, right? So targeted soldiers have 2 rolls to avoid dying. 2 different rolls. So they roll a speed test to see how well they dodge the attack, with each success removing 1 point of enemy damage, and then an armor test to see how much their armor withstands each success removing 1 point of enemy damage. I personally would just have 2 different colored dice, and I would just throw 2d6 each time, and 1 would be my speed dice and 1 would be my armor dice.
Right.
Instead of rolling 1 and then rolling another.
What if you had? Wait, you said just 2d6?
Well, I guess 2 different colors of groups of dice.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? Like all my blue dice would be my speed dice, all my red dice would be my armor dice, you know?
Yeah. I really love this use of like going back and forth on like hits in a dice pool. I think this is like, we've read a lot of dice pool systems, especially recently, and I've been like working on mine kind of on and off. And this is such a great example of how to cleverly use the, because a lot of times you're like, oh, it takes 1 hit to do a thing. Well, what do you do if you have a bunch of extra hits? It's like, some games have assignments where it's like, you can do this. Other games are like, you just need 1. But this is a great one. Like, more hits is better. It does something for you actively in several different situations. You know?
Yeah, I completely agree. Yeah, I do enjoy it. Any remaining enemy damage deals a mortal wound to the soldier, because you don't have any HP. You have speed and you have armor. Those are your stats, right? And then ammo. So if any damage gets past your speed test and then your armor test, you done dead. Like that's it. You die immediately and will need to be reinforced by a teammate, or will be reinforced automatically in case of a full squad death in order to return to the battle. That's interesting too. I didn't really think about that. If you die, you can't call in your reinforcement. You can call your own
reinforcement. Yep.
Someone has to do it for you, and it takes an action, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. So that's a whole action wasted on your dumbass dying.
Listen, we've all been there. Okay.
Yeah. After all enemies have moved and are active, the round ends. At the end of the round, advance all trackers by 1, etc., blah, blah, blah. I like the little flea art. There's like 2 of them here. This one's cool. I don't mind this one so much. The one above it is fucking gross, though.
Yeah.
On page 18, that one's grosser. And then we get to extract. You wanna hit us with the extract?
Yes. Listen. You did the deadly thing, right? Once permission, once the mission is complete, as what it says, your only job is to get the fuck out of there. To do so, you'll have to reach the extract point, activate it, and await rescue. While you may extract at any time, doing so before all objectives are clear is an act of light, Class 3 treason, and will result in severe demerits. It is often better to die a warrior's death and be revived shipside from your updated clone state than to extract before completing a mission. Extraction points has to be activated. It takes an action. Once activated, it takes 3 rounds to call and land a shuttle. After the shuttle arrives, you have 3 rounds to get into the same hex and extract. The shuttle always leaves at the end of the 3rd round. Once the soldiers are in the same hex, or after 3 rounds, whichever comes first, the shuttle leaves and the mission ends. Keep in mind, completing the objectives and extracting are separate goals. It is possible to complete all the objectives, but fail to extract. Done that before. Failed extraction incurs demerits on a per soldier basis when claiming your spoils of war.
My question to this would be like, all right, you got fucking clones. Why even send the shuttle down? Just be like, all right, deuces, guys.
I used to assume clones are a cost, you know?
That was my only thing, is it's probably cheaper to send a shuttle down and collect those than it is to regrow 3 clones.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, unless you run out of clones. You literally could just be like, shuttle's not working. All right, see you in a second. You know.
I mean, I think that's like if you miss the shuttle, I think the assumed lore is that like you still get back to the ship somehow, which means
you get in trouble. Yeah, for wasting government money on that clone.
Yeah, cool section here. Phases of play. This is just kind of a repeat of what we just went through, and just divides everything up through 5 sections of play, not 6 this time, 5. The overarching of those being spawn phase, ability phase, soldier phase, enemy phase, and cleanup, all with their own little separate steps within each of those phases. Cool little thing right here. I really like it.
Yeah,
I'd love to see it as a flowchart.
Yeah, I do really enjoy this. Chart. Yeah, I love a good flowchart. Who doesn't? I do really like this. A nice breakdown of everything that's, and it is hyperlinked back to those places, so you can reference it really easily. Super nice. Every single one has a good one. And then we're getting into spoils of war. Throughout history, great warriors have routinely said things like, the victor go the spoils. And I'm not going to read the rest of it. There's a long paragraph here basically saying that good job, pat on the back, you're going to get rank, doesn't fucking change anything. Yeah, good job. At the end of the mission, after either extraction or after all soldiers die without reinforcements, each player is awarded merits and demerits. So for merits, you get a medal. You get squad-wide medals for completing the objectives and per every 3 nests closed. And then the demerits are 2 are squad-wise, -2 medal for incomplete objectives, -1 medal per unextracted soldier, and then -1 medal per instance of insubordination individually. And we'll get to insubordination in a second. The only beef I think I have with this list at all is if there would be a way to get a positive medal on an individual basis. I think that would be neat.
That would be cool.
Like, because obviously you're doing everything as a squad, but there is a way to get a demerit as an individual. I'm curious what it would be to get a merit as an individual, like what that would take, like an act of heroism or something. You know what I mean? Like, I think that would be a neat little thing to add in.
I love the implication here that you could totally beef your first mission, and you could get negative medals. You could just have negative medals, you know?
Yeah. You just start lower than the lowest rank, which isn't really a thing. So then we get to ranks, which is referenced previously, and we'll get to insubordination, which we just referenced now. So ranks. As soldiers earn medals, they rise through the ranks, gaining more power over and respect from their fellow soldiers over time. While ranks do not denote any change of overall procedure or equipment, ranks and orders from any higher ranked soldier than yourself must be respected within your squad at all times during a mission. Any insubordination incurs an individual demerit of -1 per instance of insubordination. So basically, it only matters within the squad at all, and it's like, good job, Commodore. Like,
I think
soldier
that
boy.
is fucking hilarious, because that means if we drop in together and I outrank you and I'm like, hey, go do this, you
have to.
You have to.
Yeah. Or you get demerits and you get farther down the rank. So you you get fun.
I think that is hilarious. I think it's really an incredibly funny part of this game.
So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I'm going to guess 20, but like 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 18. 18 ranks. And the medals go from 0 to 400. Private all the way up to Supreme Commander. That's a lot of playing this game to get to 400 medals. Yeah.
I don't know. I definitely see this. I would love to see, like, and this is not a thing I need from this game, but something I would maybe enact at my own table is like, because you never played it, but in Helldivers 2, there's a grand map of planets. And like, as you're fighting, there's a meter that's tracking if the enemy's taken over the planet or how much have they taken over versus how much you fought and off. And you can clear whole planets and then move deeper into their system. And I would enact that at my own table and just like keep this tracked over time, you know?
Yeah. Well, the other thing too that would be really cool with a game like this, because honestly, I genuinely think that this game could have legs to like do a bunch of really cool stuff.
Yeah.
I know like there's a what's next thing for like possible future packs of stuff, new squad abilities, new this and that. Like just the hex map reminds me of the hex flower, obviously from Charlotte Laskowski, and we talked about that a bunch. But like you could just, instead of having the whole like create a mission collaboratively, you could just have people making hex missions all the time, like dropping in nests, like have interesting, like this one's got terrain issue, this one's got like with like, and even if it's not like, because it would take 2 seconds to do that, right? But the lore blurb that you would have for each one could be fucking hysterical or like super interesting, you know? And then you could literally like stack those up and just be like, look at this fucking stack of planets or whatever that you've conquered. Or say that like this planet is consisted of like 5 different hexes. So to wipe the planet, you need to defeat all 5, and then you get some kind of bonus. That would be fucking cool. Like each continent is one of these. But anyway, so we're basically done. So what's next? The war never ends. War never changes. You know, there is only war. Take your surviving soldiers and head back out into the battle again, restarting the steps, blah, 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 blah. In the future, new soldier abilities, objectives, map shapes, and more may be available as part of an official Astral Army requisition pack, as long as the supply lines hold strong. In the meantime, keep up the fight and feel free to create your own options too. Christian, do it. Different shaped hex maps and stuff like that. That's what I was just saying. You could have you could literally have like a planet map and just be like hexagon it, hexagon it, hexagon it, hexagon it. That's neat. Why don't you roll 2d20? I'll run a roll on this one too.
I rolled 8, 10. That's the devastation of Jupiter, TM.
Nice. And then I rolled 17-2, so I rolled the ruination of Acheron 3.
I was there.
Yeah.
I thought in the ruination of Acheron 3.
How many clones did you go through?
All of them.
All of them?
Yeah, I lost a lot of good clones that day. You know?
There you go. And then we have the mission page, which is the hex map. It's got the objectives, like spots for 4 objectives, and then boxes to check them off in, spawns and box to check them off in, and then the movement little hex guy here. And then we have the soldier card. I'm not gonna rotate it. It doesn't matter. The only thing that I thought was interesting about this is I definitely for a second read it as Ferdo IRP, and I was like, what the fuck? Instead of Firedrop, because it's like across, you know, like that instead of side. But the soldier card is cool. It marks all of your ammo. You can check your squad abilities. It's got your refreshes listed at the bottom, and then you can have your rank, your medals, and then your stats off to the side, and then a journal here at the bottom. So it's super clean, just like the rest of the game. I really like it. And then we're at the back page.
Did you notice that the Meatcastle Gameware logo on the back page is hyperlinked?
I didn't. Clever boy. And that'll take you to meatcastlegameware.com. Listen, this is why we do it. This is why we're really annoying, because then we get things like this and we're like, this is like as much more hyperlinks than we see in many 400-page books in a 28-page zine. So that is Firedrop from Christian Sorrell, aka Meatcastle Gameware. So let's review this shit. So this is a zine. Oh, I don't know if you noticed that the editor in here was Jarrett Crater. So I think we're continuing our run of Jarrett Crater games to start the year.
Incidentally.
Has every game either been from Space Penguin or edited by Jarrett Crater? I think it has been, right?
I think so. My problem is that, like, by the next week, I forgot what we did last week. So,
no, bro, I genuinely
maybe
don't remember.
They could have been written by anybody. I don't remember what they were.
Very true. So we do quantify our terrible opinions with metrics. For regular books, 40 pages or more, we usually have 5. This is the zine, and it took us a while, but we did dial in zine score. So it's only 3 metrics for this. So zines get a max of 30 points. We have visuals, which is the entire visual of the thing. It is the art, it is the layout, it's how the damn thing looks, right? Then we have the rule set. So if it's an adapted rule set, how well is it adapted? If it's an original rule set, how well do we like it? And then the vibes basically is the easy way of saying it is when we close the back cover, how bad do we want to play it? The little bit more complex way of saying it is, does the visuals and the rule set reinforce itself so that the game feels like the game? And then do you also really want to play it? And that is vibes. So starting with visuals, what are your thoughts on visuals for a zine?
They're good. I mean, I really like the cover. Shout out PR. I realize more and more how big of a fan of Perplexing Ruins art that I am. Every time I see, even if I don't know it's them, I'm like, I know that's probably PR, and I really like that piece. Yeah. Love that. There's some good spot art in it. I think, you know, it is a black on white zine. It's not like overly visually fantastical or anything, but I think it's very serviceable and good.
Yeah. I do like the font choices throughout. As far as so
I do, especially art on the numbers. The numbers look cool, you know.
Yeah, yeah. You talked about the art, but the layout, because again, we're a little softer on zines as far as like the amount and stuff like that of art. Sometimes you'll get a crazy one, which is really cool. But the layout on this is really nice. You know what I really like about the layout, and I don't know why I like it so much, is the black box around every page.
It's evenly spaced too. I mean, the last time I think we saw a black box on a zine, we were just like, that is wildly unevenly spaced on the edges. But
yeah, well, even in the middle, it looks like the same amount of space. It's really, really nice. The font is super readable. It definitely gives you future, but also military. Very good choice of font. Super readable. It's a nice font. It's a nice size. It's not 2-column. The amount of information per page is extremely readable. So as far as the layout, layout wise, I think it's really good. I really like it. The art, again, some spot art and pieces and stuff like that. What are you?
What are you thinking?
Let me take a look.
He's looking for context right now, y'all.
Yeah. I think it's really good. I'm probably sitting around like I'm sitting probably around a 7-ish. What are you thinking?
I'm probably right at like a 6.9. So yeah, I'm probably right about 7.
Ooh. Yeah, so we'll go 7 for that. I do like it. I think the layout, the art's great. You know, there's just not a ton. I also, can you stop doing this?
No, I can't stop. Hey, what's going on with you, buddy?
Can't stop, won't stop. I keep open in the folder instead of individual things. So I do think the layout carries this a little bit, which is fun, which is great in a zine. Yeah. You could have a zine with 0 art except for on the cover, and that would be totally fun. And I think this is a really good example of making the layout still feel like the game and reinforce the game. So rule set.
A great rule set. Really, I mean, I love a D6 dice pool, hit on 5 or 6. I really especially appreciate the fact that in most circumstances, getting more than one hit adds to it in a meaningful and like laid out way, instead of just being like, yeah, it makes things better. Figure it the fuck out. It's like, no, it specifically gives you certain things. And I have read several dice pool games now, and sometimes a little frustrated by the fact it's like, well, if you get a bunch of fucking hits, bro, it's like a lot of times it doesn't matter. It does in this. I think it's fairly intuitive. And, you know, I really find these like kind of small zines, that these contained experiences that are only supposed to do a thing, are really the games that I have an easier time kind of falling in love with, because they just do a thing. And I don't need a game that advertises itself as a massive game that can do fucking everything.
Right. Yeah.
So, yeah, I guess it's fine, I guess. Yeah, I really enjoyed the rule set for this.
Yeah, I like it a lot. I mean, again, my only critique is a couple points of clarification.
Right.
And that's pretty much it. So what number are you thinking for this?
Oh, dude, I don't know. I kind of am broaching on like great. I'm broaching on, I'm like about like an 8-ish, you know?
Yeah, I think 8 is what was exactly the number that I was thinking.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Hold on. There's an ad I'm watching real quick. Give me a second. No, we're back.
Bro, I can't believe you're not subbed to our fucking channel.
I'm not subbed to you.
Well, I don't even need to be subbed because I run the fucking channel.
Yeah.
So, Yeah, I think 8 is really good for this. And this is exactly the thing with zines is that, like, if you have just like a really clean, clever system that makes sense and gives you an experience, that's going to be points. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's it. And then vibes.
Great vibe. I laughed through this. I really want to play it. Like, I think it still has that like sense of humor. That is in Helldivers, but this is definitely an homage to. I'd love to see a second run of this that adds a couple things, and like I hope leans even more into that like nationalistic, overly patriotic, idiot, satirical humor. Yeah, vibes are good. Vibes are great.
Yeah, I do really like this a lot. And again, what's interesting is you got a lot out of this because you played Helldivers, and this is clearly an homage, right? But I still got a lot out of it having never played it. Even the humor still hits and everything. Again, I honestly, even just like the cover color, this like burnt orange.
It's really good.
It's really, I mean, hook 'em orange, but it's nice. The art again reinforces everything. Reinforces the rules, reinforce the experience. The visuals reinforce the experience. I do think that this is really good to great. What are you thinking?
I think I'm thinking about a 7.
Yeah, I think 7 is good for this. I do
pretty strong rating, for just a thing that Christian put out at some point in time while they're working on a million
a freebie in their fucking missives from the Meatcastle. We get a little freebie here. So that is going to be a 22, which out of 30. So that's great. So I did want to I think I did I close that fucking thing like a jackass? I did want to. I don't even need to. So missives from the Meatcastle. They say it was basically a 72-hour game, and now you get a print run. So it's great. You can pick this up again if you go to Substack. You can find missives from the Meatcastle. We'll drop the link below. You can scroll down to the February 2024. Read the entire thing. There's some interesting stuff in there, and also get to the freebie at the bottom. And again, you can pick this up. We don't do value for zines, but I think it's only like $15 for the print and PDF, and the PDF is free on the website, so you can grab that.
This is great. I also think that if you've never checked out the Meatcastle annuals, can you still get those? Can you still buy them? You should. There's a lot of really great stuff in there. So
yeah, I can't find my second one, so I hope I didn't send you the only one I had. I'll have to try to get another one. But yeah, it's a great little zine. Really fun, really enjoyable little game. And I can't believe that's the first review we've done. But again, Christian does a lot of adventures. It's cool to do a game. This is a fun one. I would play this in a heartbeat. It would be so easy to play this in like Foundry or something too. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's it. That's all we got. We have some fun stuff coming up on Sunday and on Monday. I don't know if this episode will be out before that, so we'll see. I work the next couple of days, but if not, then expect 3 episodes during the week sometime. And that's it, Christian. Thanks for making a fun game. Thanks for being in chat with us to clarify some things, and we will see all of you later. Have a good day. Bye.
Bye.